Hi, welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. One of the things that I was asked to do a video on very recently was someone who had had discovered our channel by accident. It's funny, I get a lot of letters from people who say that they stumbled on our channel, as if it was a doorstop, and they were walking into the house, and there we were, and they stumbled on us. But anyway, however you managed to find us is good for us. But it triggered the idea for me of why people actually do make decisions that are based on nothing more than an intuition, an intuitive feeling. I know that when I was in San Fernando in the Philippines, I was in San Fernando, and I was staying and spending some time for a while with my son. When I decided to make another move, for some reason I chose Cebu. Now, when I mentioned this to a friend, I said, "What's Cebu like? I have this feeling that I should go there." And he said, "Oh, Cebu is great. You can get to so many different places that are fun to be in from Cebu." So I came to Cebu. So, in other words, rather than finding a Filipina who is going to be your life partner, and then moving to either where she lives, which is often the best way of keeping a Filipina happy, is that you don't totally remove her from her family. Now this is what for me is the springboard off into making the right decision. It would seem logical, if you can apply logical to what may start out as just an intuitive feeling, as I've just explained to you, by trying to decide. I mean, if you're living in America or the UK or wherever you're living, moving out to a place like the Philippines has over 7,000 islands. The difference in the way of life in any one of these islands, and let's face it, that not all of them are places that you could go and live. Although we did meet someone when we were coming back from, I think we were coming back from Manila, and we did meet a chap who had moved to Puerto Galera, which is still quite a small, relatively undeveloped island or place. And he had met a lady, and he'd gone to see her. He'd gone to see her where she lived, which was Puerto Galera, and loved it, and was quite very happy with his choice, and was on his way back there. And he had 2 children with him, the lady's children, and they were on their way back home to Puerto Galera. Now, it worked for him in that particular case, and let's face it, it worked for me. We never intended, in the first place, we never intended totally to stay in Bohol. Beth actually thought that we could live cheaply here and then decide where we wanted to travel, which was a big thing. So, this brings me to my suggestion. It's so easy to go on to the various dating sites for meeting a good woman. Now, I know that it's fraught with potential shipwrecks. I know that because the horror stories are many. But on both sides, the horror stories, let's be fair, are on both sides. So there's guys out there who have terrible stories about meeting a particular kind of woman, And there are women out there. I had a letter today from a lady who said, can you help me to find, I have so many of these letters, it's a heartbreaker because I would love to be able to, we would love to be able to help, and we are powerless to help. Find you as an OFW, which we have lots of letters from OFWs who would like to come home and would like to actually be with a foreigner husband, and we're unable to help. We're not a dating site. That's not a smart aleck response. Okay, no, we can't do that. We're not a dating site. What do you think we are? It's not that. It's that we're not set up for that. For one thing, we don't have a ton of off-the-shelf foreigner men, friends, who would love to meet somebody. Occasionally it's worked. Occasionally it's worked very well. When we used to have our comments were on, which we've been told once the coronavirus thing is over, then they're going to look at all of those kind of disabled comment cases, and so they'll probably be back on by then. But right now, when they were on, people that became very good friends of ours actually met by looking at the comments that were made on the various videos. And what we've spent time with those people, those couples, when they've come and stayed with us. And their story is always the same, that they saw the kind of comment that was being made a judgment as to the character of that person who would make such a comment, and then just sent a message. Then comes an exchange of messages, and then letters, and then Skype, and they eventually find happiness together. So it does happen, but that's the exception rather than the rule. So rather than go on too much about that, we know that there are terrific risks, and you have to really have your wits about you when you are trying to make up your mind whether a particular person who you've never met face to face, been able to touch, is the right one for you. Well, our gentleman who wrote to me and said, I've stumbled across your site and I've been looking now at many of your videos for quite a few months, and in some cases they've been looking for a year, and in other cases they were in with us, old-timers, in with us right about when we started, which is about 3 years. And our friend in question said, do you think it's possible for me to find happiness with a Filipina and marry? He said, I've never married. He looked to be, I'm terrible at guessing, but he could have been anywhere from 45 to 55 for all I know. So my apologies to him if I am terribly out in the wrong direction. But he was, I'm no great judge of whether someone would be handsome in the eyes of a woman anyway. I mean, somebody married me, just imagine that. But he looked like a man that was attractive enough to be able to come here and meet someone face to face and be very happy. What I said to him, what I advised him to do, and this is why I'm making this video, is if you have a preference for being by the coast, and I just had another letter from someone who said, I am not interested in finding a girlfriend, I'm not interested in partying. I don't smoke or drink. I just want to come and have some peace and solitude, and I would like it to be close to the beach. Well, we can't profess to be close to a beach. I'm assuming if someone is going to come for 6 months that they're going to have to be close to the beach, if that's what they want. But it triggers the idea that maybe he is doing it the right way. He is trying to say it's a given that he would find someone to be happy with, because it's just not that difficult. Because anybody that comes over that can afford to live even modestly, myself included, I came over and I said to Beth, I don't have a lot of money, not by any means. In fact, I said at the time I'd have to save up to be broke. But I do have a pension which allows me to live without working modestly, but happily, because I don't seek to have a luxurious life. I live a simple life, and I'm very happy to do that. So if this man were to come, what kind of life would he like? Now, even this can change. At one time, my idea of a great life, in fact, when I came to Cebu the first time, I actually spent 5 days here, and I met Beth right on when I was leaving. The day before I left was when I met Beth. But I'd been looking around for 3 or 4 days and trying to find a place to rent that was close to the beach, because it seemed to me an idyllic way to live, that I could walk on the beach every day, and I would be living simply, but I would be very happy to do that. And I still would be happy to do that. But I've changed, and I've grown very fond of living in the mountains. It's isolated, it's away from everything, but I enjoy it. Every time I look out my window and we're on top of our little hill, we can look round in any direction and we can see fabulous views. So I've grown to be very affectionate with that, and I've often said to Beth, you know, there are a few places that I would move to in preference to where we live right now. And we've worked very hard at making our home here, so there's that to it as well. So here's what I suggest. If you're out there and you're thinking intuitively or logically or not, however, and you're thinking, after looking at some of the places that you could be in the Philippines, choose a place that offers a lifestyle that you would enjoy. Now, if someone asks me about the beach, out of ignorance, I think of Panglao. Panglao, compared to how we live, is horrendously expensive. You can find a place to live under 10,000 pesos in Talabon. And Talabon is a port, but it's not the kind of walk along the beach type place. So would that interest anybody? I don't know. Not someone who was looking for a walk on a white beach every day. No, it wouldn't. But if that's what you want, then you need to look at videos which show the kind of lifestyle that would appeal to you, that you could see yourself living. Because, as I said, finding a lovely lady is a given, and given time, you would be able to do that. It's not a big problem. Because ladies here will give you a chance. What was that saying that I always used to say? Nice guys don't get a chance in places like America. That very much the emphasis is on materialistic things, and so having good qualities of being is not high on the list according to a lot of people. So you would look at the kind of thing, make a list, look at the kind of things that you like to do, and then where would you be able to do those? On the beach, in a inland town, in the flat country, in the hill country. Look at that and find out where you should be looking. So let's keep it simple, and you're going to move to Bohol. If you could afford to and you wanted the beach, you could go to several different places. You could go to Anda, you could go to Panglao. And if you wanted the mountains, then certainly you could buy a place in Trinidad, Talibon, Obai. All of these places are offering, as we have shown many videos, are offering places where you could start to have a new start. And then you would find someone to share that life with you. Now, for me, I think in terms of, well, let me say, I'm not, I never came over as a sex tourist. I never did the bars. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker. And I don't do recreational drugs. I don't even do any of the pharmaceutical promises of good health and relief from pain. I just don't do them. They all are at a great price. So, not to preach that, but I don't do that. So for a lot of people I may actually be very boring. I have a friend I've had since the army. He tells me, "Terence, you're not in the A team. You don't know how to have fun." But then fun always comes at the pop of a battle for him, and he is happy with that life. But it doesn't suit me. So, decide on your lifestyle. And then, if you're going to try to find someone, the next thing would be to look and go onto the dating sites and stipulate, when you put your profile, looking for someone in the area of Talibon, Cebu, Panglao, Bohol, and only consider women from those places, because if you can move to those places and enjoy the company also of the extended family, of what will be your extended family, that will be a recipe for happiness, I feel. So look around. There's 100, 1,000 different channels that you can go to. You can follow people. There are couples who do no more than just travel from one five-star resort to another, and they have a terrific life, you know. They're usually handsome couples, lovely lady, handsome man, and they go around, and their travels, expenses are just paid out of what they make on their blog, and they do good information. And there's lots of people who are doing that and can tell you about simple life as well. A lot more and more people now, ordinary people, are doing a blog which shows a simple life. So if that's what you're looking for, like our friend who wants to come for 6 months, then you can find out about that firsthand by by being a fly on the wall on these videos of simple life. So you can do that, and you can find out. Try to get a feel for where you would like to go, and find out whether our friend who wants 6 months peace and solitude had several questions that he wanted answered. He wants to be near a hospital. He wants good internet. He wants peace and quiet. He had made his list for the kind of life he wanted to live for 6 months. You can do the same when you ask yourself, what kind of life do I want to live from now on? And then you can come, and once you're in that place, you can find someone. You will see, I've said this before, that when I go out and go into Taliban, there are one man actually contradicted me. He said, no, I think that you have it wrong there. I said that there were 10 or 20. He said, I think that on any day that I go out, aesthetically speaking, just from looks only, not speaking to a lady, but just going on looks alone, if that's possible, he would see as many as 30 women that if character-wise they turned out to be perfect for him, any one of 30 he would have married. You have to get that. You have to get that. That's quite a subtle point, you know, of it's not saying that he would marry any one of them. He was saying, just going by looks, I would have married any one of them. But of course, he had a higher standard than that. So that's my thought. I hope that helps, and we've gone on a little longer than is usual. No, I've gone on longer as usual. I hope this helps. Let me know. Bye for now.